Tapping analyze math and history, and we're going to be using math to determine the chemical reaction while balancing the formulas in the periodic table of elements. So when you use math while you're balancing a formula, what you're going to be trying to do is not only balance the number of atoms like the last video, but try to determine and notice what type of chemical reaction is. A chemical reaction can also be known as an RXM, as an abbreviation. And there are 5 chemical reactions that we can use with 2 or more elements of the periodic table. There is a combustion reaction, a synthesis reaction, a single replacement, a double replacement, and a decomposition reaction. We're gonna be using math to balance the formula. Then we'll be able to find out what type of chemical reaction is. Let's start with this one. Like in the last video, we've been trying to balance this formula. So while balancing them, we have to have every element have the same number of atoms because they want to have a fair share. So calcium is going to have 1 atom, and oxygen is going to have 2 atoms. That arrow is telling you that this is going to turn into that. So the problem is calcium on this side has 1 atom, and oxygen has only 1 atom as well. There's an imbalanced number of atoms. Oxygen has 2 on this side, and oxygen on this side only has 1. This side is unbalanced. So there is one way that we can balance the formula. We can add coefficients right here, so we are able to change the number of atoms that the element has. Like if we add a 4 right here, that would be 4 multiplied by 2, and our oxygen would have had 8 atoms. This may require some trial and error, but since oxygen on that side has 2, and oxygen on that side has 1, we're going to try and change this to oxygen to have 2. So we're going to have this as a 2 as well. So 2 multiplied by 1, calcium has now 2. And 2 multiplied by 1, oxygen now has 2. So calcium has 2, oxygen has 2, and oxygen has 2. The problem is that calcium has 1. To make that balance to have the same number of atoms, we're going to put a 2 in here to say 2 multiplied by 1 calcium atom. Now calcium has a fair share of 2 atoms. Awesome! This is now okay. All the elements are happy because they have a fair share. This formula is now balanced. What is strange about the formula is identifying what kind of chemical reaction it is. So calcium and oxygen, they turn into calcium combined with oxygen. What this is what we call a synthesis reaction. It means to build or make something. So calcium and oxygen are actually going to be added and mixed together in order to make this right here. What we call this is a compound. A compound is a mix of at least 2 or more elements that are combined together or teamed up together. Here's an example of a synthesis reaction to build or make.
Go! For work! Do you think your machine could zap me over to the Krusty Krab?
Always did want to try critter. Sure, why not? Get in there, SpongeBob.
Woohoo!
Hold on tight.
Gee, Sandy, this sure feels...
Well, here we go again.
Hey, Squidward! Ah!
What's going on with this thing?
not sure what it is, but something seems different about me.
Yeah, me too.
It is very strange to see SpongeBob and Squidward actually combine together to make one body because they're attached together. Strange. Let's move on to the next formula and see what kind of reaction it is. Here is our next formula that we're going to be doing, and let's do the math. Let's try and balance this formula. So we have H2O, which is water, and that arrow is telling us that water is going to be separated into hydrogen and oxygen. H2O, hydrogen, has 2 atoms, and oxygen has 1. On this side, behind the arrow, hydrogen has 2 atoms, and oxygen has 2. Let's use math to balance this, then we'll be able to see what kind of reaction it is. So oxygen and this oxygen is not balanced. What we can try and do is oxygen to have the same number of atoms. So what we can do is, in order to get oxygen to have 2 atoms, we're going to have that coefficient and make that 2 appear right in front of it. So now, that 2 is telling hydrogen and atom to multiply itself by 2. 2 times 2 is now 4. Hydrogen now has 4 atoms. 2 times 1. Oxygen now has 2 atoms. It's a good thing that oxygen both have the same number of atoms. They feel like they're having their fair share. But hydrogen and hydrogen right here are not feeling okay. So what we're going to have to do is try and change that to make them feel balanced. So what we can do is, in order to have that hydrogen turn into a 4 to become the same, we can add a 2 right here and say 2 multiplied by 2, that is now going to be 4. Ta-da! Now this formula is balanced. Hydrogen 4, hydrogen 4. Oxygen and oxygen are now have the same number. This formula is balanced. So what this kind of formula we use, we said earlier in the video that water is being torn apart to make hydrogen and oxygen, so they're torn apart. This is what we call a decomposition reaction. It means to break apart a compound and make the 2 elements separate from each other. It means to break apart or deconstruct. This is an example of a decomposition reaction.
Must go on.
Ladies and gentlefish, Bikini Bottom's Community Rec Center is proud to present Squidward Tentacles.
Hi?
Whoa! Rock on, freaky bro!
Woo-wee! Well, there you boys are. Well, looks like I'm just in time. Sandy, one blast of this molecular separator ray and you'll be separated for good.
No, wait, Sandy, don't.
They lost me.
Wait! Oh, come on. Oh, my one moment of fame. God! There's got to be some way to reverse this.
No! Squidward! That's a very sensitive device! Squidward, I
Well, at least SpongeBob is happy about being apart from Squidward. But the problem was, Squidward wanted all the audience watching him. So he wanted to get back together with SpongeBob. So that's an example. A decomposition is to break apart 2 elements from each other from a compound. We're going to be solving the next formula on another video as a part 2 of chemical reactions in mathematics. Thank you for watching Taoping Airlines Math Industry. Like and subscribe, and let's see how SpongeBob and Squidward work at the Krusty Krab while they're together.
I gotta lay off the hot sauce.
What in blazes is going on in here?
Oh, hi, Mr. Krabs.
What are you two doing laying around? Get to work. If you say so. God, what happened to you? I don't want to know. Just go do your job. Can I help you?
Can I get 2 Krabby Patties, please?
SpongeBob, I need 2 Krabby Patties.
2 Krabby Patties coming right up. I can't reach the bun.
SpongeBob, what's the holdup?
Right. No, bun. At last we meet. And now...
All right, that's it. I can't afford you jeopardizing me business. You two are more trouble than you're worth. And don't come back until you get this problem sorted out.